Let's turn again to Congressman Anthony Weiner, the Democrat of New York. Thanks once again for your time tonight, sir.
Thanks for having me back.
White House is now said to be leaning toward putting the public option in the merged Senate bill, albeit with that caveat. Do you have advice for them as a proponent of this for so long about how to get conservative Democrats to support it in the Senate?
Well, listen, to some degree this isn't a matter of how it's branded, but there is this conversation that's taking on a lot of resonance about whether or not you might want to let states opt out. So long as they do it maybe 2 or 3 or 4 years after the program is up and running, we have to first let it get some oxygen. I am concerned about the idea that some people in some states will be luckier than others in terms of having a governor that doesn't want to take away their services on an ideological basis. But I think now what's going on is here in Washington, we're hearing what's going on in the population. People do understand the public choice, the public option. They do want the choice and the competition, notwithstanding what the senator from Louisiana said. The American people understand this full well, and they're the ones putting the pressure on it to have it included.
You have always pushed for the full deal here, single payer, the real health care reform. In that light, understanding that the public option is not literally Medicare for everybody, it's not literally Medicare Part E, could you abide calling it that as essentially as a slogan to make it more palatable to the blue dogs or the voters who had their summers confused for them by the opponents of reform?
Well, months ago, I might have even been the first person to say that people should look at the public option as being like a little sliver of a program like Medicare for people who don't have insurance. And look, we do have this. We understand what's simple and what works. Medicare is popular. It's got a funding problem, but it's popular. It works. The problem that we have now is the health insurance industry has pushed back as hard as they can against the idea of competition, and they're not succeeding. What I have said to the blue dogs and the conservatives is very simple. If you believe in this notion of the economy having choice and competition, you've got to have the public option to at least give us a sliver of that competition.
Your study about the public option in action in Congress in the form of Medicare, how many representatives are getting it, and how many of those who are getting it are in fact now against the kind of public option they already have?
Well, we have 151 members of the House and Senate, of which 55 are Republicans who say they're opposed to a public option. So there it is. You've got people who have a public option for themselves in form of Medicare, but don't want it for people who are 64 or 54 or 34 to be able to get it. This is in part the schizophrenia that we have in this town right now. We have people thumping their chest about how they're opposed to government-run health care, and yet they would not imagine not accepting Medicare and not wanting it for their constituents. This is part of the appeal of branding this as kind of like Medicare for everyone else. That's really what we should do, but we're not doing that. We're just going to say a sliver more people are going to get a program that's going to look a lot like Medicare.
If the final bill that emerges from conference has a provision that allows states to opt out after, as you say, giving the thing a few years of oxygen in all 50 states, will there be enough Democratic votes in the House to support that measure?
I believe there will be, but that's a very important caveat that you put in there. It has to be that we can't make it like it was with the stimulus package, that you have governors trying to credential themselves as national candidates by turning back stimulus money and saying to their constituents, we're not going to take this service. Remember, the public option won't cost the states anything. So it's going to be, so long as we let it get up and running, I'm convinced it's going to take hold and it's going to drive down prices, and I believe we'll have the votes for it. And I even think we're going to have the votes for it in the Senate if we do it that way. But we can't get ahead of ourselves. The insurance industry is working every single day to try to kill any thought of this.
Yeah, a couple of important caveats attached to there from Democratic Congressman Anthony Weiner of New York. And again, as always, our pleasure. Great thanks.
Thank you.
For more on